All right, Junkie Nation, Gorgeous George and Goes back at it again. We have Corral Timothy Johnson, a superstar heavyweight over at Bellator, who had an incredible 2020. He went 3 in a row over some good cats as well, a young up-and-comer and some established veterans. Really, really amazing turnaround there for Tim Johnson. Puts himself in a number 1 contendership, I got to believe. Timothy Johnson, good to speak to you again. However, this time we're going to do things a little different. I'm going to let Goes lead off, and then I'll dip in. But I just wanted to give you a proper intro, man, because we're proud of the work you've done over there at Extreme Couture. We've seen you do it for the past few years, and it was an incredible year. Take it from here, Goes.
Well, Tim, basically what I'm doing is I'm looking at a board. It's got Timothy Johnson. It's got a couple other fighters. But I'm trying to create a path for you. I'm trying to figure out what's going on because you're doing everything you said you're going to do. Every time we talk to you, you say, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get a finish. I'm going to knock this guy out. You keep doing it. This is all stuff that I would imagine a promoter would be ecstatic to have. So I guess my question for you is, where are you at right now? It feels like it's some sort of holding pattern, but has the organization talked to you about what the plans are going forward with Timothy Johnson?
They haven't talked to me directly, I guess, indirectly through my agent, Brian Butler. And, messages against, I can kind of put 2 and 2 together from what Bader's been saying in interviews and what Scott Coker's been saying in interviews. It's kind of a holding pattern right now. They're kind of waiting to see what happens with Ryan on April 9th. Until then, I'm kind of handcuffed.
So this little run that you've been on, have you almost been fighting with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder for this?
I think the whole time it's been a chip on my shoulder. A lot of people, fans and fighters and judges and all, just around the sport, all kind of labeled me, put me in that journeyman spot, and they don't expect much from me. I didn't transfer over to Bellator and pick up my life and move to Vegas just to be a journeyman. I had to start working for my goals, and 2020 was just the start of it.
Media, fans, promoter, has anybody pulled you aside and said, I was wrong about you?
Not yet. I mean, there's a lot of people behind the curtains within Bellator that I think they're pretty happy with me every time after a fight. They, giving me a congrats and good job, Tim, and all the hoopla, and I think they're pretty happy for me. Overall, I think I'm a pretty nice guy. I always like BSing with people, and just being a roundabout person.
Well, you're going to get it from us, and not just because we're frequent visitors of the Extreme Couture Gym, which we call home as well, but we've seen the hard work. A lot of times one could say, oh, look, Roy's getting some rounds with Timothy Johnson. Oh, look, Francis is getting some rounds with Timothy Johnson. But quietly, Timothy Johnson has gone from this, whether you want to call it deserved or undeserved label of journeyman, but you're right, people have said that before, to now you're a title contender. You had an amazing year. First of all, you faced a guy who arguably was supposed to beat you. You were supposed to be the veteran name that he gets put over on in Tyrell Fortune. And by the way, I still think he's going to be a really, really good fighter just because he got checked that night. You know what I mean? Then you fight Mitrione, who's very, very popular, who has a lot of skins on his wall, but came up short again. Then you go to Paris, France. Come on, we know who that one was built for. Luckily, the poster had both of you guys representing right next to the Eiffel Tower, so there was no disrespect there. But finally, you're on a poster, but you are in Paris, France. I can't imagine this was a setup for Timothy Johnson, and you spoiled that party. So 2020, 99% of America, it was shitty. You had a great 2020, but like Go said, now what? We're sitting around, we're waiting. Bader's announced for this Grand Prix. You got to feel like a little bit of the Rodney Dangerfield of Bellator, man. Where's the respect?
Well, I think they're giving me a lot of respect. At the same time, what you're talking when you're recapping 2020 there, I think there was a lot of instances where I made some people mad, but at the same time, I had to start turning around, making them happy because no one really expects much from me. So I definitely turned some heads and made some people reevaluate maybe. But you also have the same people, thinking it's an accident. But this is 2021 here. Bellator got out to a little bit late start. I think it was maybe they were trying to get a new TV deal, which they did with Showtime, which is going to be awesome. And Yeah, so I was kind of hoping in March here. Now it's looking like it might be getting going, at the earliest, depending on what happens with Ryan, maybe a June fight. But the biggest holdup for me is I got a life outside of fighting as well. I rejoined the Army National Guard. I did 10 years, and then I took a 4-year hiatus, and then at the time I always wanted to get back and finish my 10, so I rejoined that in November. So I got military schools coming up, and so I got to try to plan those around fight camps right now. So it'd be a little nice to know exactly what I'm fighting.
Well, we definitely salute you there. All the brave heroes that are part of the military, tons of respect from Junkie Nation, from MMA Junkie Radio towards you guys. We've actually been on a couple of military installations over the past few years and gotten to see a lot of behind the scenes. And that was so eye-opening for us, to be proud U.S. American citizens, but then see exactly what happens on Army bases and Air Force bases. We've been to Afghanistan. We've been to a few here domestically. So we have the utmost respect for what all of you do, man. So that's awesome that you decided to join back, even at a time when your career is at an all-time high, and maybe you didn't need to do that.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, in the perfect world, this career surge would have happened a couple of years ago, and I would have had a little better paint. But if I didn't join within in that time period, I would have to go back to basic training. I didn't really feel like doing that again. So I decided to dot the line, even though I'm kind of in the middle of the highlight of my career right now.
Well, either way, the comment still stands. Respect to you for going back and finishing what you started there. But I did want to say, of course we love Ryan Bader and what he's done. He's an amazing athlete. He's a great champ. I'm more concerned about Bellator, really. Look, I was there when Bader beat Fedor, all right? And that was a tremendous fight. It was January of 2019. I was there, okay? And then later that year, I think it was, he fought against Congo, and they had the eye poke. It was a no contest. But literally, even though the pandemic was around, you got 3 fights in. Bellator did have an opportunity early and then late, and yet nothing was really done with the heavyweight division. Like, this Grand Prix was just sprung on us. Now, I know Bader also had the criticism of, well, you haven't done a light heavyweight fight in a long time. But still, I don't know. To me, it seems like the fighters are always ready to go. I'm just wondering what's taken so long. Bellator's got a really good collection of heavyweights. And I know they just had the heavyweight Grand Prix, but I feel like they dropped the ball a little bit since then. That should have been what got things started, and we should have had a lot of quality heavyweight fights, in the last 18 months or so, almost 2 years, 2 years now. And I haven't seen it, you know what I mean? And it seems like you're one of the casualties of it, and maybe my frustration is more with Bellator, honestly, than anybody else.
I can definitely take a look at that viewpoint as well. And the thing is, everybody wanted, once they started adding all these light heavyweights, and you came out and said, all the fans wanted a light heavyweight tournament with all these names, and that's understandable. So I can't hate on Bellator too much, because it gave the fans what they want. At the same time, I'm kind of sitting over here twiddling my thumbs, and I want to fight, but sometimes and you got to be patient, I guess. But it kind of sucks, but at the same time, I understand. Ryan was just, he won the heavyweight tournament, and he was a light heavyweight champ, and he just lost at Vim Cup, and he has an opportunity to run through another tournament and get the title back. And if I was in Ryan's shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. Can't hate on that. Another chance to win a tournament, another $1 million. Yeah, can't hate on that too much.
What about Timothy Johnson versus Fedor Emelianenko? Isn't he looking for one more, they say? Would you want to do that in the meantime?
I mean, it was for an interim. Yeah, I don't feel like after my fight with Congo, I was talking to the press. I've always been a yes man and a company man. I've never really been too selfish in the department, whether I was with VOC or Bellator. And yeah, this time around, I think after that Congo fight, I was like, I can be a little selfish. I mean, that'd be a fight if it's for an interim, yeah, or or title outright. But I think I can probably hold out for one of those two.
Yeah, I was thinking they're looking for somebody, and your name carries some weight. and then we can always do the USA versus Russia angle. Of course, I'm not trying to start something here, but I'm just thinking, how can the top guys keep busy and cash some checks? I mean, you fought 3 times in 2020, but maybe I'm being a bit harsh in that regard. But at the same time, it's more, like I say, the frustration's more with the heavyweight title. What's going on? The Grand Prix was settled 2 years ago. There was one unsuccessful title defense. Within 2 years, something just doesn't click right. So even if I leave Fedor, Bader, you out of it, something doesn't seem right there, with that division. Some of the divisions flourish. Featherweight's popping. 16 of them. They got some 16 great fighters to do that Grand Prix. That wasn't their fault that the pandemic happened. The light heavyweights, they're doing their thing. But, look at lightweight. They lost Chandler, and they've never really replenished the loss of Thompson, and that's a marquee division. So there's certain weight classes that I really want them to tighten up here in 2021. I think Showtime's a great thing, but I really want them to. I mean, heavyweight is the marquee division usually for any combat sports league. So I want them to start doing something,
Yeah, no, I hear you. I've mentally been preparing to do something here, and like I said again, that when they made the announcement a couple weeks ago, it was kind of disappointing to hear. I got on the phone right away, tried to figure out what's going on with when I'm going to be fighting possibly, and the way it looks now, it looks like I'm going to go back home for planting season back in Minnesota.
Help me out here. What's planting season? Obviously, that sounds like farming and agriculture, but more specifically, what are you dealing with?
No, I got last year I wasn't able to do it because obviously I had a fight in October. But when I don't have a fight lined up or anything, I go back home, work for a co-op, agriculture co-op, and spread dry fertilizer for the spring and fall.
Very cool. All right. How long do you do that for?
Springtime usually only lasts, like the season, if you get a good spring, only about 10 to 14 days of about 80 to 100-hour weeks, and then that's pretty good. Fall goes as far as the freeze is out of the ground, so you can have it early fall, or this year I think they're putting it in hydrous until like the first week of December, so it ran a long season.
Is this a family business, a personal project of your own, or do you just go out and work for somebody?
I work. It's a cooperative. It's a company that I work for. Outside my hometown there, and it's what I originally went to school. What I originally went to college for was agronomy, and so this is in that field. And I know I enjoy doing it. So it's not it's not so much work because I enjoyed what I do.
Was that like as an engineer? Agronomy as an engineer?
No, it's I'm an equipment. Essentially, I'm an equipment operator.
Oh, okay. We have a cousin. We have a first cousin that was in Spanish you used to say ingeniero agronomía. So right away I did the translation because I never knew what the hell he did, but that's why now all of a sudden I'm interested. And I thought, I wonder if Tim's got something similar going on. But okay, you're on the mechanical side, you said.
Yeah, operator side. Yeah, so I'll sit inside a big machine. It's got a 70-foot boom on it, and so it's like a big sprayer essentially that sprays out dry fertilizer as you drive up and down the fields.
And when do you plan on doing that? And by the way, with the horrible extreme weather that's going on, could that potentially affect it?
No, it'll warm up enough by the time. That'll start up about the second week of spring, or April, I should say, not spring. Probably about April 10th, people will start putting seed in the ground, depending on what the ground temperature's at. But they can, you can have a little later spring, but there's not a lot of snow cover this year, so it looks like it's gonna melt off pretty quick and probably warm up.
We haven't consistently been in the gym in about a year since about the pandemic. The pandemic started. But I've seen you do rounds with Francis. Have you guys become tighter? And could you say you've been a part of the camp? How do you think he's looking for his big fight coming up against Stipe Miocic?
Yeah, I think me and Francis are pretty have become familiar with each other and get along great. And yeah, I'll tell you, his just when he first started coming in, what was it? Probably a couple of years ago when he first started coming in. It was just wrestle, because that's all you could do. Basically all you could do to him, and he didn't really have a much to answer for it. But now he's got some good wrestling defense, and it's the rounds are the rounds are taxing to spar Francis, to say the least. But yeah, I think he's looking great so far. And it's just the beginning of camp. He's not even in the dog days of his camp yet, and he's still looking great, feeling great. I just did a round with him yesterday, and and yeah, it was a late round. I think it was round 4 or 5. I had him, and he still had plenty in the tank and was strong as an ox.
Man, that's great to hear. You're pushing the contender spots there at Bellator, looking at a possible title shot. Francis is in the same boat in the other league. So imagine if both of you were to be able to bring back a belt to the Extreme Couture Gym, man, that'd be tremendous. And I think you could probably fist bump each other and say that you each had a hand in helping the other guy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, sparring Francis mentally wise, when you're going into a fight with an opponent, helps you out dramatically. Like because a lot of fighters, I mean, unless they're the ones that are a little nutcasey, every fighter's got a little nerves going into a fight. But with having Francis in the room, it's pretty easy to calm those nerves. I'm like, well, this guy I'm fighting isn't going to hit harder than Francis in the practice room, so I got this.
What's the worst thing he's ever hit you with? A kick?
Yeah, he's got some vicious kicks, but I think he's nailed me a couple times with some uppercuts where I've been seeing stars a few times.
Wow. Yeah, man. I think we're close to getting back in there and starting to do, making our presence come in a little bit more often and do our quick interviews that we've done with you guys in the past. We call them off guard. I know we've done one with you in the past. So we look forward to it. It seems like the gym's been really full. A lot of top-notch talent as of late. So that's great. That's great. Extreme Couture Gym has always been one of the top gyms in the world.
Yeah, no, I love being there. And I'll say a lot of my success, my first 2 fights in Bellator weren't, I was still in Fargo. My first fight with Congo, I was still in Fargo, North Dakota. And then after that fight's when I packed up and headed out. And then, I had that Minikoff disaster. And then, I think it just, it took a couple of years. Everyone changes gyms and expects instant results. Well, it takes some time to develop even then. But I think making the change over to Vegas here and putting in the time over the last couple of years has finally been paying off.
We're very happy for you. We hope you get the fights you deserve sometime, I guess, in the summer. And you're right. If Bader progresses, which he's a beast, he may very well do so, I think it's time for an interim championship to be available to the next 2 guys because it's just been too long. It'll be about the 18th mark, I think, by the time Bader fights his light heavyweight matchup. They got to get something in there. Yeah, no,
I'm in agreement with you. I think on the route we're going right now, I want to be a 2 or 3 fight a year fighter. That happens. I'm going to be turning 36 here this year, and that the end of the career, heavyweights go a little bit longer, but there's no guarantees. So I kind of want to get as many fights in as possible, and unfortunately this year maybe looking like a 1 fight year, maybe 2 possibly, but looking forward, I want to make sure I get 2 fights possible and hopefully 3 fights a year after this.
Sounds good. Thanks for the time. We really appreciate it. It was great catching up with you.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.